This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Steve Sherry, the Executive Director of Oscillate PLC. That's the ticker MUSH. Thank you for joining us again. Steve, how are you?
Yeah, good morning, Mark. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, sir. What about you?
Yes, very good. Thank you, Steve. I know we caught up just in the new year, back in January, where we talked a little bit about you cutting costs and managing the money in the business, putting most of it into a high interest bank account to be prudent while the company makes a decision on where they're going to go in the future. We talked a little bit about the history of the company, of course, in the psychedelic space, but you were really looking for new opportunities in mining and technology, and you were quite keen to follow the Marula mining model. And I think you mentioned there were perhaps 2 or 3 good RTO prospects that you're perhaps looking at, but I wonder if we can just get a quick update of what you've been working on, what's been sort of challenging you on a daily basis.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. So for those that didn't have the benefit of seeing my last interview, obviously I was appointed into the role at Oscillate in November, and I spent a good, significant portion of that first period optimizing the business, optimizing our cash performance, and trying to kind of steady the ship. So something that I'm dealing with at the moment, actually seeing a result of that, is I'm dealing with my year-end financials.
Okay.
And it's gratifying to now see that balance sheet taking, a different pathway and a different shape as such. And I think the reason, that I did it in this manner was that, it was important to get some balance in the company and some confidence from a shareholder perspective, because we are an investment business, and our value sits in our cash level. So being able to optimize that, almost put a line in the sands, it also enables me to have stronger conversations with stakeholders that I'm looking to engage with. And there are a few key parts of what makes Oscillate so successful and stable as an investment company. Not only do we have high levels of cash, which build levels of resilience, we've also got a pretty uncomplicated shareholder register. So from what we can see, in our peers on the market, is we can see lots of shares in issue. And Oscillate got 210 million shares in issue, and 70% of that shareholding base is split between 11 either people or entities that represent a large portion of our shareholding. So, of course, when I engage in conversations with companies, whether it be in RTO, or whether we talk about our vertical build strategy, which I went into last time when we spoke, it enables me to almost have some finite conversations to represent Oscillate from a position of strength. Okay. And this is what businesses are looking from when they're talking to me. And it instantly starts the conversation off well, because, if you can envisage the type of conversations that we're having, these are the questions that are being asked of me by these companies, because, it takes 2 to tango, and that for their part, they're stress testing me and my company's resilience. Equally, I'm stress testing them from a capability perspective, i.e. what can you provide for my shareholders in an enlarged entity going forward. So the year end I'm working with within the company with my accountants, and we're working on those year end figures. They're reflecting a nice picture for Oscillate going forwards.
Okay.
A very stable company. And yeah, as I said, it's rewarding to see that level of resilience for me, because it was important as a large shareholder myself. We needed to get hold of this company, and that's what we've done.
Okay. So we can expect to see those year-end financials. Is there a date when that's due, and that will give a picture of where the company's at?
Well, these things, Mark, so I thought I knew a lot about the market. I haven't been participating in it for 20 years at, varying different...
Yeah, a bit different when you're behind the table.
Well, it is different, and I'm learning different things. I'm learning that some things, don't happen as quickly as I would like them. All I can do is provide an engagement so that when, things come to me for my sign-off, they're dealt with in a timely manner. So it's going to be soon. It's going to be in the next couple of weeks. We'll be able to promulgate those, and then people will be able to see from themselves, where we are as a business.
Okay, good. When you mentioned a few conversations you were having there, and of course, when you publish the financials, that will only back up those conversations as you've mentioned there. Can you enlighten us as to any of the conversations, the themes, the commodities, the businesses, anything you can give to? Yeah,
certainly can. So again, back in the previous interview, and I'll reference that. So, for the first part, and I think as an investor, I've used a barometer, which is my gut feeling. It's stood me well. It's enabled me to perform successfully in the market as an individual for, a long period of time. I've seen out some massive, changes in the market over a 20-year period. So I'm using, that barometer in screening businesses, and having conversations. So I've looked at the vertical build strategy. I've measured that up against, the RTO potential that it provides for our business. And certainly since we last spoke, I've looked at that vertical build strategy. And ultimately for me, I'm trying to do things as smartly as possible. I want to do this in the way that every other person would do it. Everyone else, for me, Mark, I want them to fit below me. So I want me, from an Oscillate perspective, to have all of the strongest thoughts, all of the dogged determination, and I want all of my shareholders to then say, I don't want one of them to come back and say, I think I could have done that better. Now, of course, that's subjective, because, we all, and I remember prior to my position, we all want to be CEO for the day. We always feel it can be done better. But through rugged determination and asking questions, far beyond perhaps what people are expecting of me in this role and what they see in other directors, I'm challenging everything. And so the vertical build strategy is something that I saw as a significant advantage for Oscillate, because it enables us to get the most amount of value, built into our business, but also meaning that we don't need to abandon some of our current strategy. So what I mean by that is I'm trying to have conversations that mitigate the risk of an RTO process. And the reason being is because a lot of people make money out of that process. I end up with an end result, but it costs me money, and I'm trying to find ways, and I'm having conversations with businesses, and this is down to the strength of the financial capability of Oscillate, and I'm trying to have a grounded conversation with other businesses. And this is where I'm working smarter as well as working harder, because I'm trying to project an element of the future to these businesses, bring their valuations down to a place where it doesn't trigger an RTO event. Now, talking to my advisor, who, he's a lot smarter than me, between the two of us, we're not looking to do anything untoward or unprofessional, but we're just, rather like end of year tax returns. We're being as efficient as we can and being as smart as we can. So, some companies that I'm speaking to in the mining space where, we may well become an operator, we're looking at ways that we can integrate with those businesses, and maintain our status on the exchange. And it's a difficult one in a sense because, I've got to, as I say, kind of bring their expectations down, but also show them the future. Show them the future that's possible with the cash levels that we've got in Oscillate and what that can do for their business, where we can take it into the future. Because the way that I kind of describe it, to myself is that it's a bit like the water level. You hold a football under the water line, it ends up popping up, but it will sit on the water line. If you hold it in fresh air and drop it, it's going to find the water line. So what I'm saying to companies is, you might think your value is here, but if we can do some good, smart business, you will get your value. So it's just about that kind of almost positioning, the scenario to have a collaborative attempt at providing, a future for this business.
But can you be any more specific on the details, or not yet? Or maybe another question is, when would you like to announce something?
Well, I would like to announce something, as soon as I can, Mark. I really, really would. But I think, with our cash position where we are and our burn rate being so small, what I cannot do is I cannot rush into a situation that I then need to reverse out of, because to do that is going to cost me money.
Sure.
So this is the theme that you're going to get from me, because I'm considering every penny that sits in our balance sheet is a prisoner. It's a prisoner to the outcome of what my shareholders require. So therefore, I can't go in, take 2 paces that way and then retreat, because it's going to cost us money. So whatever we do, we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right once. And this is what I'm doing. So I'm having loads of conversations with many different people. I've got everyone on the pitch. Literally everyone is on the pitch. So when something happens, it's going to be sustainable, it's going to be palpable, and it's going to be exciting for not only for me, but also for the shareholders. That's what I'm here to do.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that update, Steve Sherry, the Executive Director of Oscillate PLC. Looking forward to talking a bit more detail when we can.
Well, I'm hoping, Mark, that eventually, I'm going to sign, some sort of heads of terms in some arena, and then look out then. Then we'll be having a different conversation.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Lovely. Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.